Hey monkeys, how you doing? Damien Keys here and welcome to number 3 of this series, How to Make Money as a Musician. So today we are talking about setting up a teaching practice. Last week we talked about setting up a covers band. Now why this is really good is because these two things go hand in hand, and let me tell you why. It's because they're seasonal. When you're in a covers band you get a lot of work during the summer and also at Christmas, but it goes very dead October, November, and January, February, and into March. However, with teaching, that's kind of seasonal the other way, because if you think about it, Christmas comes along and everyone buys new guitars, and therefore when it comes to January, everyone's looking for lessons, for drums, for vocals, for guitars. When it's September, everyone starts back to school, and when they do that, they start new guitar lessons. So therefore, September, October, November is a busier time. So when you're busy with a covers band in summer, kids go away, and therefore there aren't that many lessons to teach. But in September, October, November, there aren't as many gigs. And so it kind of goes hand in hand with a very yin and yang thing. And it's great for being a musician because it allows you to have one steady stream of income right the way through the year. So come with me on a journey as I tell you how you can set up your own teaching practice. Tip 1, let's try this before we commit, because who knows, you might hate kids or you might have very little patience, which kind of helps if you're going to be a teacher. So why don't we try this before we invest a load of time, effort and money into building a teaching practice that you may potentially hate. So what I want you to do is I want you to go and find some people that want to learn to play or potentially are willing to be guinea pigs and let you teach them once a week. It only needs to be for a couple of weeks, but it will help to see what it is like to actually have this routine in your life, and if it's something that you want to commit to and build in order to make your own business. Number 2, where are you going to teach from? What is your facility? Because if you live in a flat share, it's going to be very intrusive if there's a singing lesson happening in the very next room. So is it feasible for you to teach in your bedroom or the living room? And if not, do you have somewhere else that you can teach from? Because if you do or don't, you need to factor that into your costs. When you're thinking about where to teach from, the main thing is noise. Obviously, if you're teaching drums, if you're teaching singing, if you're teaching guitar, in fact, if you're teaching any instrument, it can be pretty noisy and pretty disruptive for whoever is in the next room. Then, when you've got your facility, you need to think about what gear that you want to have in there. If you're going to teach drums, are you going to have 2 drum kits, 1 drum kit, an electric drum kit? With guitars, are you going to have 2 guitar amps? Are they going to be set up at all time and left in the room? From a vocals point of view, will you have a piano, backing tracks, microphone set up? You need to set this up as a professional teaching environment, and therefore you need the gear to go with that. Number 3, you're going to need a website. If you think about it, where's the first place someone will go when they're looking for guitar lessons or drum lessons? They're going to go straight to Google. They're not going to go to Facebook and try and put a search into Facebook. They're going to go straight to Google, and Google will bring up all of the teachers in that area, and then they'll click on it and it gets taken to a website. If it gets taken to a Facebook page, it has less impact. So you need a website, and here's a couple of things to think about with your website. People buy from people, so on the front page it needs to have a picture of you. Not your guitar, not your drum kit, a picture of you. So instantly they can relate, they can see who is going to be teaching me or who is going to be teaching my child. Keep your website to teaching, because it really annoys me when I see someone who says, and also I'm a session singer, but also I'm in a covers band, and also I teach, and this is my originals band. All it means to me is that you aren't taking the teaching side seriously, and I think people will look at that and they will worry. When it brings up a teaching site, they know exactly what it is that you do and what they are going to get out of it. And lastly, when it comes to website, make sure you've got all the information clear about who you are and, more importantly, how they can get hold of you. Number 4, on your website and on all of your social media, you need a free consultation. This is your call to action. A chance for you to say, look, you don't know me, but come down, meet me, we'll have a free consultation, effectively a free lesson. I can find out where you're at with your playing, and I can tell you where we can take this, how we can get there, and what we will work on. It's just an easy try before you buy, and when people come down and they meet you, they're much more likely to sign up for lessons. But if you're trying to just get them to buy straight away from the website, it's very difficult, and it will put a lot of people off. So on your website, your call to action should be, try a free consultation. It can be a free half an hour, free hour, whatever you feel comfortable with. But this try before you buy means people can come, sound out you, sound out your place, make sure you're not a creepy weirdo, and therefore commit to some lessons. Number 5, let's talk about your social media. Now, in this instance, your social media is all about social proofing. So showing off what it is that you do, showing off that you're the expert, and also showing off your students and being proud of what your students are achieving. These two things show you as the go-to expert in your area as a guitar teacher, as a drum teacher. So make sure you get plenty of your personality, plenty of your playing, and plenty of your students' playing and achievements in there as well. And that will show you off and win the game. Number 6, Google SEO. Now you've got your website, but you need to be on the front page of Google. And the way you're going to do this is by blogs and keeping your website up to date. Now, Google is an amazing machine. The algorithm is fantastic, and Google has one purpose, which is, as a search engine, when you put something in, it wants to deliver the perfect result in one hit. If you have to take 4 or 5 or 6 hits to find what you're looking for, Google will feel like it's failed you. It's trying to give you exactly what you want as quick as it possibly can. So if there are 4 guitar teachers in your area and one of them started 5 years ago and hasn't updated their site for 5 years, Google will be thinking, well, hang on, what happens if they started this business and it's not relevant anymore? What happens if they've died? Or what happens if they just don't do that and they've gone off to be a sailor? In which case, it will think, there's another website underneath, which I know is guitar teaching, and I know that they're updating their website, so I know that they're still doing this, and it will put it above that website. And it's constantly just reviewing all websites and seeing which one's the most relevant. And that word is key, relevant. So your job is to make your website the most relevant. If you are living in a county and you try and advertise it on Google as a county, you will fail. This is about your city. In fact, the closer you can get it to where you are, the better. If you're in a town or a city, those are the key phrases that you need to get into your blog, because those are what people search for. So work it backwards. When someone is searching for a guitar teacher in your area, what's the phrase they're going to put in? So I'm in Brighton. So for example, if I put in bass teacher in Brighton, that's about as specific, if I'm looking for a bass teacher, as I can possibly find. If I put bass teacher in England, I'm never going to get found. So with these key phrases, you're going to start writing blogs and dropping them in subtly. You're not just going to put a load of blogs with loads of information in. This is about actually giving people value. So when you write a blog, the blog piece needs to be about a page long-ish, the longer the better, but about a page long. And it can be about how you started as a guitar teacher. It can be about your views of the education, of music education in this country. It can be whatever you want it to be. But in there, you're just going to subtly let people know where you're from and what you do. Because then Google can go through it and go, this is really good. This is really informative. I'm also noticing that this is in Brighton, or I'm noticing you're a guitar teacher. In that case, I'll plonk it in the relevant place. So if you can make one blog a week, and that blog, and again, you're not doing this specifically for SEO, you're also doing this to share onto your Facebook, and then from your Facebook, people will click it and it will go to your website, which means you'll be getting more traffic to your website. Google will see your site as relevant because you're updating more stuff. Everything goes together and Google says, this person, if you're looking for a guitarist in Brighton, this person is my number 1 choice. Number 7, Google AdWords. Now, there may be multiple guitar teachers, drum teachers, singing teachers in your area. One way that you can cheat the system a little bit and not have to worry about getting onto the front page with your SEO is Google AdWords. So it's advertising, it's pay-per-click. Now, you need to spend a little bit of time working on your Google AdWords because it is a really, really great way of people seeing you on the front page and getting you across to your website to then try that free consultation. Now, with your Google AdWords account, you may be spending 50, 60, 70 pence for a click, but if you're making £20 an hour, you can afford to put some money into your Google AdWords. So with your Google AdWords, you may be paying 50, 60, 70p a click. Now what that means is Google will show your advert depending on how much other people are paying. They'll show your advert, and if someone clicks on it, you will pay the 50, 60, 70p. If they see the advert but they don't click on it, they absolutely won't pay it. Now, Google AdWords is a bit of a minefield, so it's probably worth going and finding a specific AdWords YouTube thing. It'll take you 5 minutes to learn it, and then it's up to you to do some advertising. But make sure, again, that you're very clear with your adverts. Make sure it says guitar teacher in Liverpool or bass teacher in Brighton, and make sure it says free consultation or call now for a free consultation. Number 8, should you teach grades? I'm not going to get into the debate of whether you should or shouldn't teach the graded syllabus, but what I can tell you is from a consumption point of view, parents are very, very keen to see how their kids are getting on when they're learning an instrument. And the one thing that the graded syllabus does give is that kind of recognition and achievement, which they can actually take something and put it on the fridge. Grade 1, you achieved this, well done. It shows they're working towards something and achieving it. And with a lot of teachers teaching one-to-one lessons, it just goes on, and then parents are thinking, are they getting better? Because they don't know, they're not musicians. A lot of the time they just trust what's going on. But with grades, they're actually seeing the recognition. Now, if you are thinking, I don't want to teach grades, I hate grades, I don't want to do that, then a second suggestion, it would be something more real world. So how about this? How about every term you put on a local gig in a local functions room or a local pub or somewhere where you can actually take your students and you get them to do a performance of a piece that you are working on. That way, you can invite the parents and the family and the grandparents and the brothers and sisters and the friends down to the gig. It's a really good chance for them to see how their kid is going on. The kid's got something to work on, or it doesn't need to be a kid, it could be anyone. But your student has got something to work on and work towards, and you've also got that achievement of when they get on stage and they actually perform that piece that they've been working on. Everyone's happy, and at the same time, you've also got loads more social media to talk about, and you will find that people in the audience start thinking, I'd like to do this, and you're probably more likely to get more lessons from it. So whether you do grades or something more real world, or if I'm honest, both, you will find this will massively help your business grow. Number 9, your DBS check, or what used to be called a CRB check. So if you live in the UK, you need to have a check to make sure that you're not a creepy weirdo. You're going to be working with all ages, but when you teach, you are going to be working with children. So you need to show that you're safe. You need to show that you have no criminal record and you've got no weird past. It's very, very important to have this check done so that you can show people, stick it on your wall, show parents, put it on your website, put it on your social media, so people feel safe to give you their kid, because that's what they're doing. They might be a parent. I'm a parent. You know, for me to actually give you my child for an hour is a terrifying thing. So therefore, I want to be absolutely sure that you are who you say you are and you are as safe as they come. And this is the way we do it in this country, is you have a DBS check. So it's something you need to get. And if you want to do it, you just literally put in DBS check and about 5 different places will come up on Google. You can click one and you can do a DBS check, and it will cost a small amount of money, but it is absolutely imperative that you do this. And number 10, my golden rule is to do right by the student. The right thing to do is always the right thing to do for your student. So therefore, if a student comes in and they don't have a big budget, it is acceptable to say, why don't you come every second week or every third week? Or why don't you come for half an hour instead of an hour? It means that students will stay with you for a long period of time. And if you try and force them to come every week for an entire hour just so that you can get some more money, I guarantee they'll last 3-4 weeks and you'll never see them again. Your job is to build relationships with these students over a long period of time, to look after them. And if you haven't got that bug for teaching, if it's not something you want to do, you're just doing it for the money, I suggest there's easier ways of making money and go and do something else instead. So my golden rule is to look after the students, and the right thing to do is always the right thing to do. If they like a certain genre of music and you don't like it, I'd teach it anyway. I'd find ways around it. If they want to do grades and you don't want to do grades, I would do grades. It's not about you, it's about them. And that goes across the board. It's about how you can look after these people, because you are responsible for their musical journey and they will remember you forever. This is legacy. I still remember, and you do, all of the teachers that you've ever had, and you remember the good ones and you remember the bad ones and you remember the ones that inspired you and looked after you and believed in you and wanted you to succeed. That is your job as a teacher, is so that in 10 years time they're still thinking, yeah, but I remember my first batch of lessons and I wanted to carry on and I wanted to get better. And whether they have a career or whether they don't have a career is by and by. Doesn't make a difference. As long as you're building their confidence and building their technique, you absolutely will win and your business will grow. So that's my tips for setting up a teaching practice. Now for me, this is a really great way to be involved in younger and less experienced musicians' career paths. And if you've learned in a structured way and you want to give back and also make money with your instrument in your hand, then this is a really, really top way of doing it. So what I need you to do is like and subscribe this video, because there's going to be another one next week and also more content again tomorrow. But thanks for watching and I'll see you guys tomorrow.